واحد مرحبا. Hello everybody. Welcome. We are going to have a press conference with the Secretary-General of the United Nations, Mr. António Guterres. He will read a few remarks and then we are going to take a few questions. Please, Mr. Secretary-General.
Good afternoon. I want, first of all, to express my deep condolences to the families of the victims of the horrible bus crash that happened yesterday. And also my condolences to the people and the government of Syria. I also want to express my deep gratitude for the wonderful and generous hospitality I enjoyed during these 2 days. Everything was done by the Syrian government to make sure that this visit would be a success, and I'm deeply grateful for that fact. I am concluding a deeply meaningful visit to Syria, a visit of solidarity and partnership with this great country and its wonderful people. After so much suffering, this period of transition is a rare moment in the life of a nation, a moment of responsibility, possibility, and choice, a moment for writing a new chapter of the future of this country where all Syrians can see themselves reflected in it. Over these days, I have met with President al-Sharaa, Foreign Minister al-Shaibani, and other government officials, as well as representatives of all Syria's diverse communities, women, young people, civil society, humanitarians, and people from many walks of life. I came to Syria to listen with humility, respect, and a clear message. The United Nations stands with the people of Syria at this pivotal moment. And I came carrying the strongest possible appeal to the international community, appeal to spare no effort to support the Syrian people and to support the Syrian government. Syria today is at the crossroads. This country has long known what it means to be at the crossroads of civilizations, cultures, faiths, and ideas. Syria is an integral part of the rich history and fabric of this entire region. And that diversity is not incidental to Syria. It is one of the country's greatest strengths. It is what makes Syria, Syria. Before becoming Secretary-General, I served for 10 years as United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. I saw how Syrian solidarity saved lives and safeguarded human dignity for millions of Iraqi refugees. And through the terrible years of the conflict here, I met countless Syrian families who had themselves fled unimaginable hardship. We sadly know too well the catalogue of horrors of recent years, the killing of hundreds of thousands, the use of chemical weapons, the mass disappearances, imprisonment and torture, displacement of millions, the wanton destruction. These atrocities left society profoundly traumatized, but did not break the resolve of the Syrian people to achieve their legitimate aspirations. And Syria is now drawing on its own experiences, its own wisdom, and its own hopes for the future to chart its own path. During these days, I've seen the scars left by years of conflict. I've heard about pain, loss, displacement, and fear. I was horrified by my visit to the infamous Sednaya prison, where tens of thousands of people were killed and tortured. But I've also seen resilience, courage, and determination translated in remarkable progress in the political transition. I have felt a profound sense of hope. Hope for security and stability for all. Hope for decent jobs and economic opportunity, especially for young people. hope for basic service that deliver, and institutions that are responsible and accountable. Hope for a future where rights are respected, equality is realized, differences are accepted, society's components are represented, and opportunities are shared. These are universal aspirations. And they are the aspirations embodied in the international human rights treaties, charters and agreements that were made an integral part of Syria's constitutional declaration, including the Charter of the United Nations and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And they are also the building blocks of lasting peace. The task now is to translate political change into tangible improvements in people's daily lives. Every Syrian must feel equally invested in the future of the country. And that also requires the investment of the international community. I welcome steps that have eased sanctions and opening new possibilities for economic recovery. But all these sanctions must be removed immediately. And recovery will depend on much more. That is why my appeal to the international community is clear. The Syrian people have shown extraordinary resilience through years of hardship. They should not have to carry the burden of recovery alone. The international community must match Syria's determination with sustained political support, economic engagement, and practical assistance. Syria needs investment in its people, its economy, and its institutions. Syria needs support to restore essential services, rebuild infrastructure, revive livelihoods, strengthen education and healthcare systems, and create economic opportunities, particularly for young people. Syria needs assistance for the safe, voluntary, and dignified return of refugees and internally displaced people. And it is remarkable the will of people to come back home. And Syria needs development partners and international financial institutions to re-engage in ways that help unlock the country's economic potential and reconnect Syria to regional and global economic life. A stable, prosperous, and inclusive Syria will benefit all Syrians. It will also contribute to stability and progress across the region and beyond. The world has a fundamental stakes in these efforts. For our part, the United Nations is here to support, to accompany, and to help create opportunities for success. We stand ready to assist, with humility, all the efforts to promote accountability, transitional justice, human rights, and reconciliation, build confidence among communities, and ensure the meaningful participation of all Syrians, women and men, young people, and all components of Syria's remarkable and diverse society. We stand ready to support the country's efforts to strengthen the rule of law, development of a permanent constitution, and hold free and fair elections. In short, our agenda is the well-being of the Syrian people as they carry out the transition, one that reaffirms the importance of fully respecting Syria's sovereignty, independence, unity, and territorial integrity. I want to repeat, violations of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity are unacceptable and must cease. I strongly condemn Israel's continuing violations of the 1974 disengagement of forces agreement, not to mention the fact that the Golan Heights are themselves Syrian territory. Once again, let me say that this has been a deeply meaningful and productive visit. The road ahead will not be easy. There will be setbacks and obstacles. There will be moments of frustration. Yet there is also a real and extraordinary opportunity to help build a Syria where women and men participate fully in shaping their country's future, where young people can fulfill their aspirations, and where every person can live in dignity, equality, security, and peace. The United Nations will be a steadfast partner of the Syrian people in that journey, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary General. We'll open the floor to questions. Just a quick reminder, we have interpreters. You can ask your questions either in English or Arabic. And also, please, when you ask the question, for the sake of our interpreters, just be clear and ask slowly. Okay, so we'll start there. Please, go ahead, sir. Microphone.
The interpretation.
This geography constantly reminds the world that it hosted civilization over 8,000 years old. And the people of Syria will not forget those who stand morally with them throughout 15 years of war and revolution. So a lot of respect for you, and welcome again in Syria. You conducted extensive talks during your visit to Damascus. My questions: in the light of the nature of relationship and the form of cooperation between UN institutions and Syrian government, are you optimistic or pessimistic, sir? And why? Are you optimistic or pessimistic, sir? Second question, sorry. What are the elements of strength that you have observed in Syrian people which you believe will enable to rebuild their country again? Thank you.
Can you repeat what had?
Are you optimistic? Are you will be happy with a relationship between you and the cooperation between UN institutions and Syrian government? What do you see? Are you see the light in the end of the tunnel right now? Thank you.
First of all, I am optimistic, but I am more than optimistic. I am determined to do everything I can to mobilize the international community to support this transition. Some people might, here or there, make critics in one direction or another, but the central question is to know, is this transition going in the right direction or is it going in the wrong direction? And I have no doubt to say this transition is going in the right direction, and it deserves the support of the international community, and we'll do everything possible to mobilize that support. The second question, first of all, I want to say that taking into account all the crimes committed during the last 15 years, I was happy to see the efforts that are being made in order to institutionalize the transitional justice and in order to have an effective accountability towards with all the efforts that are being made in relation to victims and in relation to, I met the new committee to work in relation to missing persons. So there is a lot of work still to be done in relation to close the wounds open by the previous regime. On the other hand, in this meeting, I had the occasion also to contact a little bit with the people. I had meetings, of course, with the civil society, with women's movements, with representatives of different communities, but I also contacted with people. And I saw in these people an enormous determination and enormous courage. And that did not surprise me, because as High Commissioner for Refugees, I had seen the determination, the resilience and the courage of the Syrian refugees that had to flee their country, and sometimes in extremely dangerous and difficult circumstances, and always demonstrated that capacity. So I have no doubt that the Syrian people will be able to rebuild its country, and I have no doubt that it's the duty of all in the international community to support that effort.
Thank you. Just a reminder, your name and affiliation, and try to limit to one question. There are lots of questions. The lady in the back, please, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Rihan Murshid from the New York Times. I want to ask you about, you said that the Syrian people shouldn't bear the burden of recovery by themselves now. But we are seeing that the aid from the UN are shrinking in the last 2 years. At the time that should focusing on the reconstruction. Can you explain that and what you are going to do after you see now the situation and the city?
The humanitarian aid.
The last sentence.
Can you explain that? Why the aid are shrinking at the time that have to focus on the reconstruction?
And
At the time. At the time that the focus is on reconstruction, but the aid are shrinking in the last 2 years.
no. We have a dramatic problem, not only in Syria but everywhere. It's in Sudan, it's in Syria, it's in Haiti, everywhere. There is a dramatic decrease of humanitarian assistance. And because of that dramatic increase of humanitarian assistance, especially in the areas where war is still happening, which is not the case of Syria, we are seeing increase in hunger and increase in death that is quite dramatic. In relation to Syria, unfortunately, our humanitarian appeal was only answered at the level of 22%. But I want to say that in our contacts with the government, it was clear that we must more and more focus our priority in the recovery, and in particular in a plan of action aimed at guaranteeing an effective, successful reintegration of those people, refugees and internally displaced, in their places of return. And so we will need much stronger support from the international community, and it is in the interest of the international community to support Syria's transition in this regard. Look around Syria. You have Israel still bombarding Gaza. You have the Lebanon, where military operations are still taking place, even if there were important negotiations in Washington. You have the Americans bombarding Iran, and Israel is bombarding Lebanon. And simultaneously, you have the Iranians bombarding all the countries of the region. And in the middle of this mess, Syria remains a symbol of stability. That is one more reason for the international community to support Syria. It's a bet that is very important to sustain.
Thank you. Let's go to this side first, and then we'll go back. Please, to the gentleman right here in the second row. Yes.
عوض منصور تلفزيون سوريا.
You have to do it. 1 second. From the Syrian TV.
Can you hear me? He's from Syria TV.
Can you come closer?
Yeah, of course. Syria TV.
من خلال مشاهداتكم على الأرض، هل سيكون هناك تغير في مسار المساعدات الإنسانية، خصوصا أن يعني هناك كثير من المساعدات الإنسانية التي كانت تقدم من الأمم المتحدة لسوريا هي كانت مساعدات عاجلة أو مساعدات يعني مؤقتة، هل سيكون هناك مساعدات طويلة الأمد خصوصا في مرحلة إعادة الإعمار؟
With what we have just seen on the ground with regard to your humanitarian aid and assistance, is it going to change? Is it going to, because usually it used to be like urgent, now is it going to be like long-term humanitarian assistance, or is it going to change?
I hope that humanitarian assistance will not need to last long. But for that we must start investing massively in recovery and reconstruction. But of course, we, for the moment, still need a meaningful support of the international community humanitarian assistance, but more and more we need international financial institutions, we need countries, we need companies to invest in Syria in relation to the reconstruction and in relation to the recovery of the economy of the country. And if that happens, the humanitarian problems will naturally disappear.
Thank you. One more question from here, and then we'll move to the other side.
معي بس قصيد أحمد الإخبارية السورية.
Some Syrian news, Syrian news channel.
Okay. تفضل.
التقيتم يوم أمس مع رئيس مجلس الشعب السوري السيد عبد الحميد العواق. السؤال: كيف تقيمون اللقاء والتجربة البرلمانية الأولى في سوريا بعد التحرير؟
شكرا. So yesterday you met with the Speaker of the Parliament, Mr. Abdul Hamid. So how do you evaluate this experience since the fall of the regime?
Sorry?
How do you evaluate this experience, the new parliament in Syria?
I must say I was very strongly impressed by the Speaker of Parliament. He gave me a very clear picture of the work this Parliament has ahead of it. You have a new constitutional declaration, but the legislation that exists is largely the legislation that comes from the previous regime. And so, like it has happened to me when I joined Parliament in Portugal after the revolution, you have to redo all the central legislation in relation to the areas of finance, the economy, human rights, institutions, and that is a very heavy work. But I saw the President, the Speaker of the Parliament, totally committed to develop that work. Then afterwards there will be a new constitution, and this is a process of transition. But even in this process of transition, a lot of legislation is necessary.
Thank you. We'll go to the gentleman in the front and then the gentleman over there. Please.
خليل هملو القاهرة الإخبارية.
Cairo News, from Cairo News.
سعادة الأمين العام قبل 21 عاما في هذا المكان التقيت معك عندما أتيت من العراق وطلبت منك أن توصل الحكومة السورية بيومها أوضاع النازحين السياسيين أو اللاجئين السياسيين في العراق، وبجهودك أعادت مئات العائلات من العراق إلى سوريا. سؤالي لك الآن بالنسبة للأوضاع في سوريا خصوصا في 3 مناطق متوترة، إن كان الساحل أو السويداء أو حتى مناطق الجزيرة، هل سيكون لكم دور كأمم متحدة في إبطاء أو الحوامل الخارجية التي تعمل على تفعيل هذه المناطق وأن تنعم سوريا بالاستقرار؟ بما يخص بموضوع مناطق شرق الفرات، قسد إلى الآن تماطل الحكومة السورية، وهناك الآلاف من المعتقلين لدى قسد من أبناء العشائر العربية في مناطق الجزيرة.
He's saying that you met with him, he met with you like almost 21 years ago during the Iraqi war, and you were helping in settling the situation. So with regard to Syria and the situation now, 3 main areas in Syria, 3 main regions, Suwaida, the Syrian coast, and the third one, northeastern Syria. So do you think the United Nations can play a major role in, for example, helping in prevailing like peace and stability? And what about, for example, SDF? They have almost like 1,000 detainees. Are you going to help with that? SDF, Syrian Democratic Forces, still the situation is not sorted yet. So they have almost like 1,000 detainees, and he's saying that whether the United Nations can interfere with that and help.
Today I had the opportunity to speak not only with the people from all the regions and communities that you mentioned, but also from the 2 investigation committees in relation to the West Coast and in relation to Suwaida. And I became convinced that with the serious commitment that I've seen, it will be possible to overcome these problems. It requires, of course, stopping the violence, and the violence has essentially stopped. It requires accountability and requires reconciliation. And of course, the United Nations will be at the disposal of the Syrian government. But this is obviously a Syrian process that must be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned. On the other hand, I think it was a remarkable success, the agreement that was established with the SDF. And I consider that it was a crucial factor in the stability of the country. I know that there are still problems to be solved in relation to the demobilization, but all the indications I have is that the government is totally committed to address and solve these problems.
Thank you. We have room for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Please, the gentleman there.
خالد الدلبي من التلفزيون العربي.
From the Arab TV, Arab television.
سعادة الأمين العام، الأمم المتحدة تشرف منذ العام 1974 على اتفاق وقف إطلاق النار. من خلال لقائك الأخير مع قادة قوات الأندوف في سوريا، هل تقيمون الخطوات الحالية للأمم المتحدة بأنها خطوات كافية لاحترام اتفاق وقف إطلاق النار واحترام السيادة السورية؟ إذا لم تكن كذلك، هل هناك خطوات جدية جديدة للأمم المتحدة لتنفيذ هذا الاتفاق بشكل فعلي؟ وهل سيطرح هذا الملف على مجلس الأمن؟
Since 1974, the United Nations is responsible for the disengagement agreement, and the UNDOF is actually playing a good role in this. However, do you think this is enough? What the United Nations are doing now, is it enough with regard to disengagement? Are you going to take any other measures or steps with regard to this at the Security Council, for example?
The United Nations is not a peace-enforcing mandate. The mandate is clear. It's a mandate of monitoring and reporting. And what I can tell you is that we will be presenting a report in July until the end of the month. And it is our intention in that report to be clear about the very serious violations that are taking place. And that is what we can do. And to alert the Security Council, and alerting the Security Council to alert the global public opinion about how these violations are undermining what should be a peaceful situation and are causing extensive damage to the people of Quneitra that is suffering unnecessarily stress because of these violations.
Thank you. Could you please pass the microphone to the gentleman in the back? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Guterres, Omar Sanadiki from for Associated Press. We've heard that you had a planned visit to the UNDOF. We don't know if this visit were accomplished or not. If not, if there was any part for the Israeli with that? Thank you.
Sorry.
The visit to UNDOF, whether it was accomplished or not, and
I have to have a mission in Cyprus, so there was a shortened of the mission in Syria, and what we did was instead of going there, I had a meeting yesterday with the governor of Quneitra, with several elements of the population in Quneitra, including farmers, Mufti, and
Mukhtar.
And also with the commander of UNDOF, and we went through the whole set of problems that are happening, and that was extremely helpful for the elaboration of the report I just mentioned.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Unfortunately, we have to leave, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary General. Thank you.
Thank you.
We apologize for those who couldn't ask their questions.